Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more would you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he is the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones plantation." He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. "And this shall be our motto," Mr. Smith announced. "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men." Finally convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
"We all want this plantation to do well," Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, "so we can all share the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out to the fields to start your first day of work as free men."
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. "I have an unpleasant duty to do today," he said. "Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished." Two men tied Charles to the whipping post. "I take no joy in this," Mr. Smith continued, "but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail and we will all suffer." The whip cracked against Charles' back. "But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits." A young man named Samuel stepped forward. "But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before?" "How can you say that?" Mr. Smith asked. "I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton. Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto, "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all." One day, Mr. Smith announced, "Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin." Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. "I was excited when all this started," he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. "But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing has changed. We're all still slaves." There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. "They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all of the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all? Your time is up, Samuel, Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, 2 supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. "I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience." The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. "Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished. The whip fell again, and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
What you have been taught about government and politics is no more accurate or reasonable than what Mr. Smith taught the slaves. If you're ready to look through the veil of rhetoric and propaganda to see the reality beneath, get a copy of The Most Dangerous Superstition. It will change the way you see the world.
I want to do it because it's fun. It's fun to do bad things.
Well, did you know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
It's the greatest podcast in the world.
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friends.
For all of this?
Just a little bit, no video games for a whole weekend. I took my grandma car because I got mad at my mom, and then I saw her have my friend come in, and he smoked cigarette. I yanked the thing.
What is up, motherfuckers? Say I Won't Podcast, Season 3, Episode 22. 22? Is it 22 or 21?
I think it's 23.
22.
Let's check. I don't doubt you, but I do.
You should.
But you're right. It's 2022.
22. 22. So you ready for the election?
Mi nombre es
Oh,
Isaac
yeah, right.
Chase.
Isaac Chase. And my name is Edgar Antillon.
And yeah, I am so excited for the
Super duper
election.
excited. Yeah.
It just occurred to me today that I live a half mile from the closest police station. So that should be fun. I may or may not have been standing on my roof today wondering if I could see the police station from my house.
Shit's getting crazier and crazier.
Hey, good news. Good news.
Good news. Good news.
There's free bricks in case you want to build something.
Oh, yeah? Where at?
15th and Blake, I think. I saw a pile of them on KVDR, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah? They're there?
Yep.
Free for everyone to use?
Yep. To build.
To build.
Yes. To construct
So
for a better, brighter future.
take a forklift. So I seen this gem, and this is my screenshot. So I seen this gem. Somebody was mentioning how Biden was a chomo. And of course, I went to the comments to see what the replies would be. And yeah, Trump has sexually assaulted almost 30 women. Biden is at 8. Neither should be above 0, but come on, Trump is the king pedophile. This is where we're at in the U.S. right now, folks.
It's a race to the bottom.
My rapist is better than your rapist.
Now, I will say this though. Do we have Trump touching or inappropriately handling a female on camera? Because we certainly have that of Biden.
Outside of his daughter, no.
Well, I mean, is he touching his daughter?
He's doing some pretty Biden stuff with his daughter. Yeah.
Okay. Let's naysayers find a link, put it up so we don't have to look for it.
And he's also legit talked about dating his daughter. We've talked about that before.
Yes, we have talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of things have happened because last week we didn't talk about anything really related to current events other than what's going on with Sean and Anubis and Master and their crew.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I got to give them huge props. Whoever wrote their press releases did a good job because I'm seeing them show up all over the place on
Everywhere.
local media.
Yep.
And in-depth stuff too, like not just fly-by-night type stuff. This is like they sent reporters out. They're doing features and all kinds of stuff.
Correct.
But I mean, they're on message. I take that back. The local news thinks that they are on the same message that they are.
Correct.
And I think that it seems like their message is kind of like a third direction. Like, we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it our way. If you want to take it this way, that's fine.
Correct.
If you want to take it this way. And then, if pro-gunners want to take it their way, that's fine if they want to take it their way. But we're doing it our way. So I see a lot of independence in their style and their message and their everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
respect. So where do we start? Let's start with the first things first.
First things first. I'm
Will
the
you-
realist.
Will you be traveling to a undisclosed location if things get hot?
No, I mean I don't see why. I don't feel like it's really gonna get that horrendous. So far in all of the mayhem, Denver really hasn't gotten horrible in compared to other cities.
Mm-hmm.
Our little neighborhood hasn't really been. I think everybody in the neighborhood is mostly just like, I know if we talk about this, we're probably going to slap each other. So how about we just don't talk about this?
Right.
So if you go to our little hub where we're at, nothing political,
Yeah.
like at all. Like no bumper stickers, no like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most everybody there is either on board with ideas of the Jones plantation, or they just don't want to fight.
I think that's most people. Most people realize how toxic it is to do that, and like if you drag them into it, they'll jump in. But if you don't drag them into it, they will avoid the topic. And I say that based on the different circles I've been in lately. Even if I crack a joke about something, say in a class or with people,
Yeah.
people kind of laugh it off, and then that's like, okay, that's enough. Let's not talk about this anymore. Which, I mean, I don't like the idea of topics being off limits.
Correct.
But at the same time, I think we could all use a little break
Yeah.
from stressing and obsessing about stuff right now.
Yeah.
So it's cool with me. I do have a class. Well, you have a class on Wednesday as well.
I have a class tomorrow and Wednesday.
You have a class tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay. So that should be fun.
It's going to be super duper interesting. Well, tomorrow we won't know. We really won't know who kind of wins until Wednesday.
I would say it's possible we could know, but not likely.
Yeah, no. I would not. I'd be very surprised if we knew before midnight who won.
Yeah.
Very, very surprised. It just the nature of the beast. I think the last several elections that I've seen, except the Obama ones, have all been pretty much, well, let's wait till tomorrow and figure this shit out.
Yeah, if I recall, even last election was like that. There was a pretty strong indication, but that was very late.
Correct.
And it wasn't officially called
Correct.
until
The
next
morning.
day.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, since we just watched the video while it's fresh in our heads, let's talk about the Jones plantation. Because this is like my second or third time actually watching the whole thing all the way through.
Yeah.
And I took a much different meaning from it this time. So I wanted, the end of the video promotes the book. What is it called? The
I don't know.
Superstition?
And that's not why I played it, but yeah, I don't know. I've never read that book, so I've never read a book.
Grand Superstition, I think it was.
Yeah.
So when you watch this Jones plantation video, and for those of you who haven't watched it, all you got to do is rewind this to the beginning of the podcast and listen to it. There's visuals, but you don't really need them. You can paint this picture in your mind. When you watch this or listen to this, are you looking at this from an anarcho standpoint or what? Like what?
No,
how are
because
you interpreting it?
the very first time that I watched this was maybe in 2010, 2011-ish. So it was relatively new when it first came when it came out and when I watched it. So at that time, I would not consider myself to have been an anarchist at that point. In fact, quite the opposite. Very fucking conservative and super duper. I'd have been sucking Trump's dick all day long back then. Yeah, buddy. So, but I looked at it, and even now is just from as uncomfortable as it makes you. It's straight truth. It's reality. So it's a pattern that's definitely based in reality. But I noticed something this time around. I was listening to Kanye's interview on Rogan, and he was talking about his own personal enslavement to the music industry. And, which is not unique. Most artists will kind of tell you the same thing. Yeah.
But he was putting it in the context of what he said in his church sermon or whatever, that slavery is a choice.
Correct.
And in this video, the plantation starts with, you're all free to go, but I recommend you stay.
Correct.
And everybody stays.
Correct.
So what do they have to complain about?
Well, why did they recommend they stay? So it wasn't just a recommendation.
They said that, you'd be safer here if you stay, because if you leave, you'll just get caught by another slave owner.
Which is what we tell people now. Like, where are you going to go? Like, what the fuck? Like, Canada's amazing, but I mean, their hate crimes are a lot worse than our hate crimes.
It is colder up there, though.
and
That's one thing you cannot deny.
so I think there is there is a difference between allowing them to go and then strongly suggesting to them that they're going to die if they leave.
But that's still their choice
Correct.
to listen to it. And I think if you value personal freedom, if you say you value it, then
Oh,
you
absolutely. Oh,
gotta be
absolutely.
willing to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take the risk if you absolutely do value that freedom. But
Because it could be the truth or it could be a lie. But if you just take their word for it and you never leave, I mean, supposedly they were free to leave the whole time.
the whole time,
And as things get worse,
correct.
now I see the point you're making, which is, how do you extricate yourself from a system when it's pervasive? Like you can't just be like, you know what, I don't like these rules, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's not necessarily that simple.
No, it's super complicated. It's one of the conversations that I've had to have with myself, even as I consider retirement and potentially leaving the U.S. and going somewhere else, and to be a slave in a different system. But I suppose the big difference is that I'm aware of the other slave owners. In that time, and even outside of the context of the story, if this was a real thing that actually happened, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't be aware because they wouldn't have the information that we have right now. So me looking at it from a perspective where I do have the information, I know where I would be going. I know the laws and the civics of it all. If I were to go to Switzerland or whatever the fuck, go to Canada or whatever, leave to New Mexico and go to the other Mexico. So I have that context. But so I could only imagine being in that circumstance where I just don't know if they are lying to me or not lying to me. But the idea of going to another slave owner is just like, okay, well, at least I'm comfortable here. I guess I have my house here and my stuff is here.
So
and I can tolerate the shit that's going on here.
there's another element to this, though,
Yeah.
which is like the human condition.
Yeah.
The human condition is we are always going to be a slave to our own mortality. We're going to be a slave to the hostility of the planet,
Our own insecurities.
but you can't escape that. You can only decide how you're going to organize yourself first, your family second, and your community third.
Yeah.
And so the problem I have with the Jones plantation is the assumption that, well, I don't know how to interpret it, number one.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I don't
Yeah.
know if this is like an anarchist type message.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a anti-socialism message. I don't know if this is
Correct.
the trap of capitalism message. I don't know what the message
Correct.
is here.
We haven't read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that the message is that if you obey somebody in a system, then it's slavery. And yeah, it can be slavery, but just because you decide to follow a certain set of rules does not necessarily make it slavery. First of all, it's a decision. And we've been over this a bunch of times. If you submit yourself to a set of rules, you have the freedom to leave. You do have the freedom to leave, but when you leave, the world you're leaving to is going to be much more difficult. I'm not saying that bad. I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying it's going to be way more difficult. If you strike out on your own and decide to live as a vagabond who travels the world with no passport and, no masters and everything, like, it's going to be a difficult life.
Potentially.
But so is also, submitting to the grind. That's a difficult life as well.
Yeah, and I think the video kind of talks about that idea that everybody's on board with this. So when the dude's getting his ass whooped, everybody's cheering him on. Oh, you're the dumbass that thinks that nothing's changed, and going against it is not okay.
Right.
So
And how
I don't-
quickly, and this is another thing about the human condition, most people are followers. And I
Yeah.
think we've evolved that way.
correct.
I don't think that that's a choice for most people. I think that as humans we've evolved. The people who cooperated are the ones who survived, and the people who, the crazy ones who decided, no gods, no masters, like they didn't survive as long.
Yeah,
Like
but
this
more
is-
fulfilling,
more fulfilling, yes, but maybe didn't pass on their genes,
which is fine.
which is it's fine, except that's not the how do you put this? That's not necessarily the order of the universe. The order of the universe is to try to replicate
According to who, though?
according to the universe.
No, that's according to what we've been conditioned to believe. That's the way it goes.
Well, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't true.
Well,
every one of your ancestors successfully reproduced.
yeah, but not because that's what had to be done. That's because that's what they told that had to be done.
Your ancestors, including the animals that we evolved from.
Yeah.
Nobody told them.
Well, if we really want to go off of what the universe is going to do, is going to wipe us all out at one point. So,
Well, it could. It very well could. And over a long enough time period, it will.
no, it will.
Yeah.
It could very well. At one point, our sun's going to be fucked.
Man, I think I mentioned this a couple months ago. I watched the trippiest video I've ever seen in my life,
Yeah.
which was basically fast forwarding into the future, at exponential rates.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
No, we're like, we are fucked. So when we talk about what the universe wants us to do is die. What the fuck?
Well,
Because the earth, now we're not gonna experience it. We're not gonna experience it. Our grandkids are not gonna experience it. Chances are that nobody we know and are related to are probably gonna experience this if we continue on the evolution plane. And because at some point somebody's gonna fuck up and not have kids, or shit's gonna be different. Either way, every time the moon fucking spins, it's taking away rotation from the earth. Every time we go around the earth and we get close to the closer we are to the sun, that transfer of energy slows us down every single time. It's just what happens naturally. You're walking, somebody bumps into you, you lose that energy.
yes.
So because of it, we're slowly losing our rotation. We're slowly losing our gravitational pull. The sun's going to turn into a red dwarf. Like either way, we are destined to no longer exist. The earth, as we know it, is destined to no longer exist.
The system that creates that entropy and destruction is also the system that created us in the first place.
Correct.
And it is in my opinion, it's a cycle. Although if you watch that video, it's pretty depressing. Although much of it is theoretical past a certain point in time. Nobody, it's based on what we know now about astrophysics and quantum mechanics and all of that stuff. But at some point,
This is not a theory. So
we're merging. How are we merging if if the universe is expanding?
because we're expanding together. It's general relativity. So in relation to what? So yeah, it's already proven the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxies are merging. So at some point we're going to collide with the Andromeda galaxy. If I'm not mistaken, the Andromeda galaxy, I'm sorry, is much larger than ours.
So we're going to become a super galaxy.
Yeah, we're gonna yeah. But as it collides, I mean we're fucked. All of the stars are gonna go out of whack, and we're gonna get pulled into different orbits. So we're just not gonna be what we are.
I bet this is not where the Jones Plantation writers thought that the conversation would go. They're like, we just want to make some cotton. We just want to pick some cotton. We just want to describe cotton.
So the order of the universe is you go and die.
or
That's
be
the orderly.
and possibly be reborn, because we don't know how many times this cycle's happened, if it is
We
in fact a
don't.
cycle.
If it is a cycle.
But it does obey certain laws. And so those laws, in theory, got us where we are and will eventually destroy us. So, in theory, will reform us.
What laws, though?
The laws of nature.
What nature? Because there's only physics.
Right. Physics.
Yeah, the laws of physics.
Conservation.
There's no laws of conservation.
Conservation of energy.
Well, yeah, energy, but not life.
I have reached the edge of my knowledge. I'm looking over the edge and I can't see down below me anymore.
Tanner, the video is called the Jones Plantation. Jones Plantation.
All right, so let's go a completely different direction real quick.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about these pistol braces.
Okay, let's talk about what Nate wants to talk about.
Yeah, let's throw Nate a bone here.
Let's beat this fucking horse to death.
Because mea culpa, in the last episode that we talked about the honey badger, I was very flippant about the whole thing, and then the whole issue went totally nuclear in the course of like a week. So I really did not see this coming.
Which part?
That the ATF was just going to dismantle their interpretations of pistols and go full retard with what they're asking the public to do.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that they're doing it at a time where Biden can potentially become president, and he's already kind of moving in that direction.
And what is with that too? Why on earth is he bringing up an assault weapons ban 2 days before the election, where nobody else on earth is talking about this?
No, ban on ARs, not even on assault weapons.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm using
Correct.
parlance.
Yeah. Because I think he specifically said AR-15s, if I'm not mistaken. And then, so it's weird that the ATF went that way, and he probably just used it as leverage, like, oh, the ATF is going to do it. What I don't understand is why Trump right now doesn't say, fuck you, director, you're fired.
Exactly.
Like, that's all he has to do is, I don't need you anymore. Your services are no longer needed. So that's where Trump completely fucking loses me, is the fact that he doesn't have the fucking balls to just tell this director, you're fucking full of shit.
There's a lot of people he should be firing right now. And he's not. And I don't understand it. I'm not saying I approve. I'm just saying, like, he could, it seems, make things a lot easier on himself.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why he's not doing that.
Correct. Oh, Tanner, I talk about the future and us ending based off of physics and real empirical evidence. Empirical evidence that physics has already proven. I don't know what video Isaac is talking about.
Yeah, I need to find that. Tanner, I'll try to find it during the show. It will be in the show notes, which I will post again in the comments before the end of the show. In the meantime, while we're talking about this ATF ruling, Mr. Guns and Gear did a pretty good explanation of it, so I am linking that in the show notes because I'm not going to go to the trouble of explaining this ATF ruling right now. Number one, it's complex and boring.
Complex. Yeah.
And number two, I'm probably going to screw it up. So the way I understand the ruling is that it could be interpreted in a way that says every rifle caliber pistol at this point is under scrutiny and could possibly be ruled as a AOW.
Correct.
or a short barrel rifle. And you need to submit your specific rifle to the ATF, and
you can't import them anywhere. Rifle caliber pistols,
right?
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, whatever." But the FN-57 will potentially not be able to be imported anymore,
which is wild because the round it's
correct. It's a 22.
It's a 22. Yeah. So good news for Ruger. if that's true.
Yeah.
We're selling their 5.7 pistol.
So
like
those
crazy.
are the small effects that are going on with this ruling. Small shit like that for a lot of people, and this is what I hate. A lot of people talking about like, well, whatever. I don't have a FM 5.7. That's great, but you don't get the point. Like, or I
Well,
don't have a pistol. I have a carbine, so it doesn't affect me. It just like it does affect you though.
yeah, it does affect you, and for one thing, I've seen estimates between 5 and 10 million rifle caliber pistols currently in circulation. So,
Yeah.
you know, just an administrative ruling that all of a sudden puts that many people at risk of a federal felony.
Correct.
With the only recourse, I mean, if this ruling stands, the only recourse is to submit or be a criminal.
Yeah.
And even if you submit it, you may not get that. You may not get what you want, and you may end up having to surrender. The gun.
Correct. And now they know about it.
And that is tyranny right there. Just
correct.
In my limited experience in literature, I've read a little bit of Kafka. I've read some Dostoevsky, and the way that the way that these bureaucratic nightmares operate. This is exactly how it works. This is quintessential bureaucratic tyranny, and you know, people. I mean, we could talk about this being Trump's fault or not Trump's fault, but this started in the bureaucracy. Yeah. God, why are some of these English words so hard to pronounce? Are there Spanish words like that?
Not really.
Are there Spanish words like rural?
No, because the beauty about actual Spanish is we only have five vowels. You guys have like 13 of those motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you read it is the way you pronounce it.
And some letters are sometimes vowels.
Yeah.
So this is a bureaucratic tyranny, and where this is going, nobody knows.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a little role playing right now. If I was Trump, I would have fired the director of the FBI by now.
Yeah.
I would have fired Attorney General Barr by now.
Yeah.
I would have fired half my generals, and I would have fired certainly the head of the ATF and probably the DEA. The way the FBI has conducted themselves in the last 4 years, they should not even be operational right now.
Correct.
So, I don't know what Richard's talking about. Grilled cheese sandwiches.
I don't know.
I missed something at some point.
I'm gonna just put it up there.
Yeah, somebody can interpret this. I want to like tying in with the ATF thing. The FBI has been corrupt since it was first created.
Yeah.
I've actually heard some pretty interesting stuff about J. Edgar Hoover recently that kind of made me reevaluate him a little bit. He was still an asshole, but
that he was gay?
No. Like there were things that he was doing that may have actually been in the best interest of the country, even though they've been vilified over the decades.
Like what?
His attempt to control the growth of the civil rights movement because of its dovetailing with socialism. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, you're a bad dude. This is a bad idea, but you can almost see why he was doing it. You know,
yeah.
Same with McCarthy. McCarthy would be on the other side of well, no, he'd be on the same side. But I'm not giving the guy a pass or anything. But when you take in this history, when you learn this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, J. Edgar Hoover, who was a bad guy because he did this, and this. Like you're reducing his entire life, everything he's ever done, all his motivations into a couple of sentences. Would you want somebody to do that about you?
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, we've already been down that road a couple of times.
Correct.
But history's complex. It's hard to dive deep into people, and so it's easier just to say, well, all in all, bad dude, which I agree with. All in all, a bad dude.
Correct.
But not because he was a crossdresser. because Eddie Izzard is a cross-dresser and he's a good dude.
And the Twisted Sister guy and
Oh yes, D. Snyder.
D. Snyder. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what the fuck to say about fucking J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh,
All I
so
know
anyway,
is
I'm
that
talking about.
everybody-
I was talking about the FBI. I don't know. Why
Yeah,
I brought up J. Edgar.
everybody,
The FBI has always been corrupt. The FBI has always been a blackmail
Which is fu-
organization.
which is funny because they're the ones that investigate corruption within police departments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
and,
if
and sometimes do press charges, but
Correct.
It's basically like you didn't pay the toll, you're not playing the game. Yeah, you're going to be the sacrificial department who's going to get.
like I was actually half tempted to fucking get the FBI involved with our case
That would have been fun.
because that's
You've already met some of the local agents, I'm sure.
no ATF. I haven't met FBI.
I thought the FBI came into the shop with that one dude that one time.
Oh yeah. But it wasn't for me. It was with him. They kind of gave him a ride to pick up guns and make gun transactions.
The FBI is telling you, don't sweat the ATF.
That's what the
We'll handle them.
we'll handle it. Yeah, because I did mention it how the ATF was one agent was being an asshole. He's like, they shouldn't be that way. And then I think we got kind of a quasi apology. I don't remember, but yeah, you're right. I just never really interacted with him. So yeah.
So the FBI is a corrupt organization, and
Yeah.
they're the top law enforcement organization in the country. So what does that tell you about the state of our country? Who's going to prosecute these people?
Trump.
Even if he did want to,
No, Trump.
how is he going to do it?
Trump this time when he gets elected again, Hillary's going to jail.
Oh, you wait. Just like
Biden's going to jail. Don't you worry about that stuff. Hillary's definitely going to jail this time. Not last time because 4D chats and shit.
now I know what it feels like for all the black people who were waiting for Obama's second term.
Yeah,
Like wait. As soon as he gets that second term, he's gonna help us out. He's gonna do right by us. Obama's like, peace. I'm out.
Not a fucking thing.
I made my money. I got my Netflix deal. I'm out.
Out. Book deals and the whole
Dude,
shebang.
They've only managed to drag him out in the last couple of weeks to campaign for Biden, and he is doing, I won't say a half-ass job because he's doing a better job than Kamala is. He's more sincere than she is, or at least he appears more sincere than she does. But he did not want to come out, man. If he wanted to come out, he'd have been out months ago campaigning.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like, all right, I'll show up.
Yeah. Did you see him talking to closed doors?
Talking to closed doors. No.
Yeah. He was introducing Biden and Biden wouldn't come out.
Oh, I saw that. That was not an accurate video.
And no.
No, it was very well played. What they did was they isolated his microphone, so all you heard was his mic. You didn't hear the crowd. And I'm not saying it was a big crowd, but there was definitely one of those, I'm going to call you out. It's a half-second wait. That gives the crowd time to pump, and then you come out. Like
I heard the crowd.
If you watch the whole video in context, there really is not a missed beat.
Oh,
there.
okay.
However, Kamala did have a really bad one either today or yesterday, where it was like over a minute of just awkward people standing around looking, like, where is she? I think she was finishing her drink, because if you watch her, she's drunk half the time while she's up there on stage. Sometimes you can hear that alcohol in her, and sometimes you can't. So
yeah,
that's, you can hear a difference between when she's drinking, when she's not drinking. I saw another video where they had a body double of her out at a campaign event, and of Kamala.
A body double?
Yeah,
I thought they did that of Ivanka.
They do that with a lot of people, but
Melania. Melania.
Who is gonna body double for Melania? You gonna find some other Slovenian queen? to do that.
I can't believe you think she's cute, man. She's fucking disgusting.
What?
Yeah, she's disgusting.
That's only because she's taller than you.
No. No. No, I've made sex to tall women, and that's not it. It's definitely not it.
What is she, like 6'1"?
She's disgusting one. That's what the fuck she is.
Man, you. I
She's-
think
she's
that
not
I think that the years of migraines has warped your brain.
No, her years of fucking plastic surgery and fucking Botox has really fucked her up.
Mm.
She's
Give me all
disgusting.
that plastic. I'm just kidding. No.
You would take it. You would take it.
I guess. He's so confident. There we go. Did somebody send that to you, or did you
No,
just
no.
look that up?
Just looked it up.
Put that picture on the. Can you make that bigger?
Let's see.
This is a picture of Ivanka. Is that Ivanka?
Yeah, her daughter just giving him a lap dance.
Sitting on his lap.
No.
Yeah.
That's lap dance type shit.
Well, without a video, I mean, it's gonna
Correct.
be hard to get context, but it is uncomfortable to look at. That's for sure.
Correct.
So she's on his lap there. Okay, I do have to say one thing though.
Yeah.
And this goes for a lot of things about Trump that people don't put in context. He's
Yeah.
a New Yorker. So there's a bunch of pictures of him kissing a bunch of people. He's a kisser. That's a New York thing.
That's the gold.
That's a creepy one right there.
That's the gold one. Oh, he was buddies with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, if you take Epstein out of that picture, that's still a creepy picture.
But goes the other one with Epstein.
Okay, so I think I mentioned this before. If you watch the way that Governor Cuomo talks,
Yeah.
him and Trump talk the same way. They use the same
yeah.
exaggerations, the same speech mannerisms, the same, interrupting themselves and just saying ridiculous things to make a point. That's a New York thing. That's how New Yorkers talk. But yeah, there's a bunch of pictures here. Trump kissing all kinds of people. He's definitely a kisser. I don't know why we're looking at Michael Jackson. Oh, that's mean. Who wore it better?
Like, she's disgusting, dude.
No.
Look
No.
at that. She's
No.
fucking ugly.
No.
There
You
she
just-
is
you
again.
just hate white people.
Look at there. There she goes again.
No, she's hot in that picture.
You like him? You like her tan?
Like, yeah, a little bit shorter too. Michael Jackson was only 5'8".
Yeah,
If you're not watching this on the stream, you're missing out some good
you're
pictures
missing. Yeah,
here.
look at this disgusting woman.
Uh-uh.
That's not cute at all. That's fucking gross.
That is a classical look. That's
No,
yeah.
no.
So what were we talking about?
So let's take a vote.
Yeah, vote in the in the
From a scale
naysayer.
from 1 to 10, you know the scale. How ugly is Melania Trump? It's kind of a fucked up thing to do.
Is this a thumbs up or thumbs down? Or
No,
is
no.
This
Scale
this
from
is-
1 to 10. How
1 to 10.
disgusting is she?
Okay. How disgusting? No, rate the overall looks 1 to 10. That's the normal way to do it.
No.
Is she a 1?
She only gets an ugly scale.
See, now I don't understand Miguel's vote. He said 10.
That's how disgusting she is. It's a disgusting stare. She's pretty. See, she's pretty unattractive.
Man. This is how I know I'm an independent person. I have my own ideas,
Oh shit!
which are often wrong, I'll admit.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Uh,
A tree. So now I don't understand Richard's vote. 6 on some days, 8 on others. She's also old. I prefer experienced.
Old has nothing to do with it, man. There's some fucking 60-year-olds that, man, they can fucking get it. They can fucking get it. Oh yeah.
Where were we going?
I don't know,
remember.
dude. I have no fucking clue.
All right,
but
let's
this guy. Let's talk about grilled cheese. Now I know what the fuck.
I got a clip to play.
Play it.
All right. This is Chelsea Handler talking to
Oh
Jimmy
my God.
Kimmel.
Fuck that girl. I mean, I
Uh,
would, by the way.
See, I don't understand why you would say that. What?
Chelsea Handler is, if she would just shut the fuck up, she's a relatively attractive woman.
I don't understand what makes her better than Melania.
Oh, everything.
Okay,
you-
so
Have you seen her boobs picture when she's naked? Much better. Much better than Melania. No plastic surgery.
mhm.
That's a downer
That's-
for me. As soon as you get plastic surgery, that's an automatic 10-point deduction.
So you're gonna like this clip. So she was talking to Jimmy Kimmel, and she got
Is this the fucking 50 Cent one?
yeah. But I want to play a clip from before what she said about 50 Cent.
Okay.
Because she said 50 Cent, she had to remind him he was black. Like, obviously, that's the low hanging fruit to go after. We don't need to talk about that, you know. But I want to talk about. I think she said this before that. I don't know. I didn't listen to the whole clip, but if you want to get an idea of how these people think, this is a perfect example. All right, so let me cue this up here.
You've been very open about how therapy has helped you become a more patient person.
Fallon,
in some ways. Is that something that you have to work on all the time and still do?
Well, yes. I mean, for sure. If I could have learned how to get hands on my patients, anyone can. And, you know.
Okay, mental health, very relatable, right?
Yeah.
We can all relate to, you know, trying to improve yourself. And she wants to tell everybody how she's been working on herself.
Yeah.
She's going to use a recent example, you know, because she wants to tell everybody how much.
As a white liberal woman, she knows
the struggle.
Yeah.
Right.
You think you're doing well. Like, I think I'm, you know, making a lot of improvements. I'm less reactive. But when I came home this last trip, I had been gone for like 2 months. I shot my special. I went on my family vacation. Then I rented a house in Maine for a couple weeks. And I came home and my assistant had all the decks painted black, dark black paint on my wood, my Ipe wood in my house. And I think, you know, like, oh, I'm reasonable. I'm a rational person. I walked outside, saw my decks in my house encompass everything. And I went off. I was like, how could you think that I would think that this would look good? Black paint. I go, it's too hot to even walk on. The dogs are going to scald their little.
The struggle. This fucking guy.
I got a new prop. Honk, honk. So I think we can all relate. When we come home from being on the road for 2 months, you know, family vacation, renting a house in Maine.
During COVID, family vacation.
And your assistant has painted.
No. Don't fucking go over that shit. During COVID, stay at home or else you're going to kill grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic.
People
don't go outside.
A 250,000 people are dead because of Trump.
Yes.
And that's obviously doesn't have any impact on her family vacation or shooting her special or anything.
Correct.
She comes home.
Yeah.
Her assistant has painted her Ipa wood deck black. And her poor dogs are going to burn their little feet on this deck.
On this deck.
I get it. I now I get it. So I have an ISO I want to play. I can't remember what this is. Oh, I remember what this is. Yeah, this is a good one. Hold on.
Shut up. You're being a bitch. Shut up. Stop talking.
Oh, I love it. I love the internet. There's just no end to the hilarity.
It's crazy.
So yeah, what she said about 50 Cent got all the attention, but I think when we talk about whether or not we're going to listen to these people tell us what to think or what to do, I think we should remember the struggles that they've been through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. Listening to them is exhausting.
So
what else do we got going on? We have Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden
Apparently lost another laptop.
No.
But this one has not been as verified as the other one. So might be going out on a limb.
What happened to this one crazy dude? This dude came and went just like the fucking Obama blowjob cocaine guy.
Oh, the prostitute?
Yeah.
Or was he wasn't a prostitute. He was
it's just a gay dude sucking Obama's dick.
Mm-hmm.
Like he came and then
somebody looked that up.
Hold on. He came and
yes.
he came and went There was somebody like that for Biden, for Hunter as well. He did like a quick little press conference, and then he walked out, like kind of mic dropped, and then you'll see me later, and then
Oh, they're dead.
we haven't seen that motherfucker.
Okay, somebody look up this dude's name. I just heard a clip of him talking recently, and he was talking about one of the other guys that he went to originally.
Yeah.
Who advised him not
Yeah.
to talk to anybody. This
Correct.
guy worked in Jeremiah Wright's church, apparently had an ongoing relationship with Biden, or I'm sorry, with Obama. And when he talked, somebody knocked on the door and shot him in the face. And I
Holy shit.
can't remember this guy's name, but the other guy, this is why he dropped off the map. I mean, he got straight Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad, shot in the face for being, being a problem. So I'm not surprised when these people speak up and then they never come back around again. And unfortunately, what this does is it makes all of them. It makes it hard to believe any of them.
Correct.
Because, you're like, you get all excited, like, oh, this is it. And then you never hear from them again. You're like, oh, it must have been a fluke. Must have been, somebody just wanting attention.
Fake news.
I'm sure a lot of times it is somebody just wanting attention. But there's plenty of examples that this guy has that make him very credible, but he's not in the public eye anymore. He's not playing that game. He's probably in hiding if he was smart. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Hunter Biden, nobody's seen him. He could be dead for all we know.
Oh, they probably locked this motherfucker up. Like they probably have him in a
Could you
Chelsea
imagine
Handler's fucking black colored deck.
Could you
mansion.
imagine the crying and the tears from him when his handlers are like, "What is wrong with you? I'm sorry, I'm such a screw up." He sound like an addict. I know, I deserve everything that happens to me. And then meanwhile, he's like, "But don't take my money."
Don't take my money.
So, what's interesting about that whole Hunter Biden thing, though, is as bad as it was, it's still not quite enough to make the full case against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a gift wrapped package. Oh, that's cold blooded, man. That is cold. That's not even close. It's just because they're wearing the same color outfit.
It's super close.
It is not close. It is not close.
It is absolutely close.
You are bad. You should feel bad. Oh my God. If you're not watching this stream right now, you are missing out. That was deep. God.
Shit.
Not even close.
Super close.
So did you watch the Rudy Giuliani hit piece?
No. After the movie came out, nobody really even talked about it. Like it futtered out. Nobody said anything. So I figured if CNN doesn't have enough to fucking have this on their 24-hour news cycle, then it's probably not as bad as they made it out to be from the beginning.
I went and ripped the scene off of a pirate site, and I posted it on YouTube with no information saying what it was. I just posted it on YouTube. It got pulled down off of YouTube after about 24 hours. Nothing happened. All this is a creepy old man who gets talked into going into a bedroom with some woman who in no way at all looks even close to 15 years old.
Yeah.
And she's not. She's like 26. And he doesn't do anything inappropriate. I mean, should he go into a room with this girl? Well, he's not married, and
he's not.
No, I'm pretty sure he's not. And the microphone wire was in his pants, and she pulled the microphone wire out of his pants, and he leaned back on the bed to tuck his shirt in, and that's the image they took of him with his hands down his pants.
Which is what Rogan said.
Exactly.
That's what Rogan had described it as, and then after that, I didn't hear anything about it anymore. So,
what gets me about this is, it seems like this was all set up, like it was all staged. Why does Sacha Baron Cohen have this footage right when Giuliani's about to release this information?
Yeah,
there's so many layers to what's going on. It's like impossible to keep track of it.
Oh, he just got divorced for the third time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Probably because he's a creep, dude.
Probably because he's a weirdo.
Yeah. It's just like this stuff never ends. It just layers and layers and layers deep, and to think that you have it all figured out just because you watch some clip on the news, like, yeah, get on Bill Clinton's level, Rudy. You got the money,
Correct.
but I don't understand why they had this footage. Like, this was either an incredible coincidence or some very deep setup. And
Of course, it was a setup.
why is Sacha Baron Cohen going after Rudy Giuliani? Like,
Well, they do what they always do. I mean, hilarious movies. Like they're always good movies. But if you look at, well, no, and I can't even say that honestly now because there is a spot where he goes after the feminist and he joins the feminist group. So now I can't even. I'm just gonna shut up because he does it equally to all of them.
he does, although I haven't seen the new one.
Correct.
I don't know if the new one I know the new one's political because he pretends to be Trump and he tries to embarrass Pence and everything. He definitely leans more towards making fun of one side than the other, but he's really good at it. It's very funny. It's like Jim Jeffries. Jim Jeffries has a great bit on why Americans are stupid for being gun nuts. It's hilarious. It's a very funny bit. I don't agree with any of it.
He's wrong.
He's wrong, but it's still funny. You know, and that's the mark of a good comedian is somebody who can make you laugh at something that you don't agree with.
Correct.
And well, it's also the mark of somebody who, you know, can take a joke.
Correct.
Which apparently a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Rogan had Alex Jones on, and I saw a lot of people saying that Rogan has flipped. Now he's a shill. He's bought and paid for because he was fact checking Alex Jones in real time on the show.
Which is what you should be doing.
That's what you should be doing to Alex Jones. And by the way, if you do that, you'll probably find out that 80% of what he's saying is true. And then you don't have to just take his word for it. You will get actual information showing that, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein did have an island full of pedophiles.
Oh, man, that's why it would have been amazing if he did the fucking presidential debates.
If Alex Jones did it?
No.
Oh, Rogan. I was like, what?
No, Rogan. Because then you have somebody who's like, nah, you're full of shit to both of them. Like Trump, you're fucking full of shit, and call him out like right there on the spot, like fucking Jamie hit that shit.
Now he didn't do that to Bernie Sanders. However, he only had an hour with Bernie Sanders.
Oh.
And I think he was trying to get through as much as he could. And a lot of what he was talking to Bernie Sanders about was just basically like, how come everybody hates you so much? You're such a good dude. And Bernie was treating it like a campaign stop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Trump went off on Bernie Sanders the other day, and it was one of those. I'm not gonna lie, I love this about Trump. He can insult someone and compliment them savagely at the same time. And he goes after Bernie Sanders. He says he's the best loser in the whole country. He's the greatest loser of all time. the way he got treated by his own party, it's criminal. It's criminal, you know, and then he just, you know, he's a team player, and he's just going on and on, and I'm like, man, it's like knocking him down, picking him back up again. You all right, buddy? And then just punching him in the face again.
Shit.
And this is why I don't have any respect for Bernie Sanders. He just laid down for the Democratic Party.
Man, that's disappointing. I would never in my life vote for any of these fucking idiots. But like, as somebody who tries to be as objective as possible, damn, the homies in the left, like, really fucking. That's like if Ron Paul for the liberty movement was just like, oh fuck, like, I guess so. I guess now I'm gonna go out and support Trump 100%.
I'm gonna vote yes on all taxes from here on out, just because I have to make the Republican win.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I respect about Ron Paul. The dude voted no on every single tax bill ever came across his desk, and somehow managed to keep his seat, you know, in Congress. And as kooky as he is, I got to respect that level of commitment.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
Bernie
great.
just doesn't have it. I mean, he
No.
talks a good game, but when the chips are down, dude, he is a shill.
Yeah, he's a little bitch.
Every single one of them, except I don't know if Tulsi Gabbard has officially endorsed Joe Biden. Has she? Somebody get on that. Somebody in the chat room tell us if that happened or not. Because if she did do that, then I got no respect for Tulsi anymore either.
Well, the one that I never liked, but I wish the Dems would be honest about this is Kamala. I mean, she straight up was on stage saying, "I believe all of your attackers, all of your victims. Like I believe every single one of them. I believe the women who accuse you of fucking molesting them and raping them." And now she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm vice president, so now I still believe them, but it's cool. You're better than the other rapist."
Have you seen this woman on stage in the last couple of weeks?
Who?
Kamala.
Yeah, I've seen her.
She is the most awkward person ever. She can't get a sentence out with some awkward, weird laugh.
It looks like Gabbard did back in March. Endorsed Biden.
She must know how corrupt he is. She must know. She's in Congress. How could she not know how corrupt he is?
Yeah.
And she endorses him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have principles, just say, look, do not vote for Trump. I'm not voting for Trump. Don't vote for Trump.
Correct.
If you are
See,
real,
that's the thing is you can leave that shit blank. And I think a lot of people don't understand that or pick somebody else. That's the other thing that frustrates me with all of this shit is if it's this idea that my vote's going to go somewhere else magically other than where the fuck it's supposed to go. Like, that's not the way it works. Like, if somebody tells you, hey, pizza is delicious, here's Domino's or Pizza Hut, and then somebody else is like, no, but I got my grandma who's from Italy and makes fucking legit pizza, and then Domino's is going to tell you, well, no, like you don't understand. Like, this one, I can make it right now, and it's fucking delicious. And then Pizza Hut is like, no, well, fuck Domino's because it's all processed shit, and then they're both processed shit. Like, everybody makes fun of grandma because grandma is going to take an hour to make the pizza. And Pizza Hut and Domino's, like, if you vote for fucking grandma's pizza, you get grandma's pizza. That's what the fuck you get. Like, you're not voting for one or the other. That's kind of the frustrating thing, and that's what you get with this mentality is just Tulsi Gabbard should have endorsed somebody who aligns a little bit more with her, which probably
she
would
should have just endorsed herself.
or write-in.
She should have just said, look, I don't have the nomination, but if you still believe in democratic values, vote for me.
Yeah.
And then just, the thing is they've all sold their souls to the establishment. They've all sold their souls to the establishment. And every Republican candidate has too, except Trump. He hasn't needed to do that. Now, I'm not saying that, like, that's awesome of him, because he's really just gone his own way. He's like I said this, I think, a couple weeks ago. He's outside the system, so he hasn't needed to do that. He hasn't needed to sell himself out to do that. But I think the Democrats could come up with a candidate who could do that, who could be outside the system and capture people's attention and capture. But none of them think creatively. None of them think in the way that's just like, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to win doing it. And this is one of the things that I think Trump has figured out, and I don't understand why you don't like him for this, because he's done it his way. You like doing it your way. He's done it his way. Because
it's the illusion of him doing it his way.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Because half the establishment Republicans are voting for Biden in Congress.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I made that number up, but a lot of them are.
I don't know how true that is. That doesn't prove that he's done it his way, though, because if we look at his career, he has always been politically involved. Always.
Well, that's what you do when you're a developer.
Yeah. So he's always played the game. Does he play it better than everybody else? Probably. I mean, the fact that he's president probably proves that he played a little bit better than everybody else. But to suggest that he's done it his own way, like we've had presidents in the past that acted as kind of retarded as he has. It just it didn't garner the attention. One could argue that Teddy Roosevelt was just as fucking retarded as Donald Trump, because he was. I mean, this guy was the Rough Rider, and this guy was kind of out of nowhere shows up and like here's my fucking schlong, and he was pretty abrasive. He was pretty fuck you. I mean, for his era, he was like that.
Yeah.
Not for our era. For our era, it's very different. But for his era, the turn of the century and all that shit, like he was an asshole. He was Donald Trump. So we can't suggest that it's never happened before, because it has happened before.
True. Although I would say that probably the establishment as it currently exists has nothing to do with whatever the establishment was at that time. Before the World Bank was established, before the International Monetary Fund, even the UN was formed. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt was way before that stuff happened. So we weren't even technically a first world power when Roosevelt came to office.
Reagan was kind of like that.
Yeah, well, Reagan was definitely handled. Reagan was handled all the way back to when he was governor of the state. I don't think Trump is handled.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced that he's not.
I would be surprised if he was, but I mean, I'd be interested to know if he's being handled. But
if he was not being handled, we would not be wearing masks right now. That's where I'm at with all this shit.
Yeah, that part is pretty interesting, because it seems to me that he, in a lot of ways, wants to reject outside control of our country from other people, but is submitting to it pretty hardcore. I mean, he's pushing this vaccine thing really hard. He's pushing testing really hard. He's pushing wearing the masks. He's not making it a mandate, but he is, advocating it. And I see him as surrounding himself with, try to surround yourself with the smartest people, the people who are going to tell you the truth. And somebody's telling him that we should all be wearing masks. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Correct. I don't think that comes from him. I don't think that at all comes from him. So I think there's a lot of, and it may just be a weakness. It may just be a thing. But I think if he was doing it his way, he'd like legit tell everybody to go fuck off.
Although he is holding these huge rallies. Like, this is a bad idea if you buy any of this COVID stuff.
Well, that's the subtle contradictions that I look at. And I'm like, if he wasn't being handled, and that's why I think it's an illusion. Because, you hold a rally and you're like, see, I'm this fucking badass. And then you throw on the mask. It's kind of like the keyboard commandos are like, oh, fucking show up with fully automatic rifles to the rally. And then you show up to the rally and nobody's got a fucking handgun on.
You're the only dude.
So it's one of those things where I kind of look at those little subtle things where it's just like, I think he's trying. For those who think Melania's cute.
I didn't say cute. I said hot.
and then his puppet masters are like, that's enough. That's enough badass right there. We need to rein it in.
All right.
One thing that I will say about Trump, and somebody said this to me and I can't unsee it. Maybe you've seen it as well. Somebody told me that Trump, when he stands, looks like a centurion without the horse end.
A centurion?
Centurion?
Oh, like a minotaur?
Minotaur. Half horse, half
It's because he pushes his head forward.
Is it a minotaur?
Minotaur, half man, half horse, or centaur.
Centaur. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, centaur.
Between you and me, we got it.
Yeah, minotaur is the bull. Centaur. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
I think it's because he stands with his head kind of forward.
So when he said that, I kept looking at it. I was like, that motherfucker is missing.
Oh, I got a video for you. Look, where should I put it?
The private chat.
Okay. You don't have to. Yeah. Go ahead and put some volume on for this because this is awesome. If you need a laugh the night before the election, you need to watch this video. I'm gonna put it in the show notes. If you want to crank up the volume and watch it on your own time.
Oh man, have you seen the one of him and Biden?
I saw the bad lip reading. That was pretty funny.
No, the one with him and Biden is pretty hilarious because it's Biden when he does when he's pandering to Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
He's holding the phone, and I forget which song they play, but it's like a disco song, and then it's him dancing, him and Biden fucking dancing together. It's pretty amazing. So
speaking of which, after this, I've got a Mexican clip for you.
Fuck yeah! Oh, speaking of Mexicans. Everybody who's a Dodger fan, you're welcome. Our one-eyed Mexican granted you your fucking first World Series since the 80s.
Fuck the Dodgers.
In the butt. Here we go.
Here we go. We don't have to watch this whole thing.
How come I always put two penises in that picture?
Yeah, exactly. See what I mean with his head forward?
Yeah. Look at that centaur missing his ass. Have you done the challenge? Because people are doing that challenge, though.
I have no idea what's going on social media.
The Trump challenge?
No. What's the Trump challenge?
Oh, we'll fucking... Am I playing the whole thing?
No, you don't have to play the whole thing. It's really just the same thing over and over again. He only has one dance move. Milking the cow.
Or the male horse.
Milking the bull. I saw that video today and I laughed for like 2 minutes straight just watching that video. Okay, so I'm going to try to play this on cue, but I don't have it queued up. I might have to like bounce around a little bit. I know another reason why you hate Trump. This was from a rally in Utah or Arizona. I'm not sure. Do you know who Mike Lee is?
No.
He's a senator in one of these states. I think he's a senator. So let me try to find this real quick.
It was he who was a tool of the Kansas Greenwald.
Max. And
no, I can't find it at the moment. Shoot. Hold on. You talk for a second. I'm going to try to find this because this is gold. You need to hear this.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm looking for my own video. I'm looking for the Trump challenge shit.
Trump challenge.
I found it. So okay. I got stuff for you guys while Isaac is trying to find his thing. If you guys haven't seen it, if you guys haven't tried it, you motherfuckers should get on that shit. I thought I had the fucking video. Ooh. Nope. I'm having the same issues you're having. Fucking fail. Old.
This is why writing notes on your hand for the podcast 2 days before the podcast happens is a bad idea.
Doesn't work out.
So, hey, David's here. All right, so I don't have the clip, but I'll tell you what happens. He talks about Mike Lee. He says he's a great senator. He's the greatest man. Blah blah blah. You know, he's doing the Trump thing. He invites Senator Lee up. Senator Lee comes on stage and says, "Hola," and he greets this crowd in Spanish. And he says 4 or 5 Spanish sentences, including "cuatro años más." You know,
yeah.
Trump invited this dude on stage. I know why you're mad. Because the
he's
Republican Party turned its back on you when you spoke Spanish, and now it's like now it's Trump's idea.
Well,
he just stole your idea.
No, they do that every election. Every election they kind of do the same thing.
The Republicans?
Oh yeah, they'll bring somebody up on stage.
They bring a Mexican on stage and have him say "build the wall" in Spanish.
Kind of. I mean, you have them out there. You definitely have a lot of people that are will say, yeah, we Mexicans, we that's all we are is rapists. I just raped somebody this morning, and Trump is right. Here we go.
Dude, he said something to that effect again in the debates. Like, he doubled down. He's not afraid to say those controversial things.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. Here we go.
Because that's dogged him for 4 years. All right.
Here we go. So I can't believe you haven't done this. You love this guy so much.
I don't love TikTok.
So that's him dancing. Now what? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Every time I think TikTok takes us to a new low, I'm surprised. I'm constantly amazed. Oh, this guy's got it, dude. Oh man, he's got it. He nailed it. Oh man.
Anyways, this shit goes on for a while. So we're just gonna leave it right there.
Man, the internet is a completely terrible place, man.
Such a horrible place, dude.
Such a horrible place. People doing this with their time. It's funny. It's depressing at the same time. All right, so let's go a completely different direction.
Oh yeah, they do screen the crowd. So they put the right type of people in the right type of areas.
How do you screen a crowd of 25,000 people?
Easy. So
well, okay. I mean, I get like, okay, you're gonna sit here, you're gonna sit here.
Yeah.
But like the Biden crowds, from what I understand, they're like selected crowds.
Same thing with Republicans; they're selected.
How do you do that with 25,000 people?
Very easy. So there's about maybe, I'd say about 20,000 of them that come just general admission. Okay. Those you heard them through one side, and then you have your VIP section, which is going to sit up front. With Romney, that's kind of where we would sit is up front. And then you have your people who are hardcore volunteers who are already pre-vetted by the party of that state before they show up. So, and then the Secret Service has to gets involved because we had to provide our credentials a few times because we were potentially going to be next to Romney.
Mm-hmm.
So you get pre-screened before all that shit happens.
Okay. So when I'm saying pre-screen, what I mean is making sure agitators don't make it in,
Oh no, in the general admission, yeah, you can't screen those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Trump held his first super spreader rally in Oklahoma City, I think it was, or Tulsa, the guy who was running the campaign blew it. He put the invite out on social media, and they got trolled by a bunch of Democrats who signed up. I think they were anticipating like 100,000 people signed up for it or something like that. And it turned out nobody showed up because they just overwhelmed the system. But that's the last time that's happened, at least what's made it into the news. I didn't catch that comment you just posted.
Did you kind of something similar happen to Biden? And fucking Republicans met the bus on the highway and almost ran it off the fucking road.
Well, I didn't see enough of it to see them run it off the road or not.
No, they almost did.
I did see enough of it to know that they were slowing it down and everything. But dude, 2020 delivers again. Holy crap, that was insane. Here's the thing. I say that a lot. I'm going to try not to say that. But here's the thing. That's how politics should be in this country.
Let me see if they actually run it off the road. Do they run it off the road?
No. There was a pickup truck that bumped into a crossover SUV. That was the extent of the of it.
I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would.
So right here, you see that little white SUV make contact with that truck, but that all happened behind the bus. I heard that they were slowing the bus down.
I love Texas.
I love Texas. See, this is why I love the guy, dude. He doesn't back off from that stuff. Like, he doesn't say the right thing. Oh, that's dangerous. We shouldn't be doing that. This is a democracy, and we need to allow the other.
Did you hear what you just said at the rally?
No.
But this fucking guy.
It is something. Do you see the way our people, they were protecting his bus yesterday?
How can you not like that? How can you not like that? You know what he's doing right there. You know what he's doing.
It's not presidential, though.
At this point, does that even matter? I mean, Cardi B interviews Joe Biden. Is that presidential?
Well, no, but that's why I'm not voting for Biden. I'm not going to vote for either of them because I'm not going to be like,
you're not voting for Biden because he got interviewed by Cardi B.
I'm not voting for Biden because he's not presidential. I'm not voting for.
I would argue he's very presidential.
No, none of them are. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe without the dementia.
Especially with the fucking dementia.
Maybe especially with the dementia.
Especially with the dementia. No, but it's just. I think it's hilarious. I find it humorous. But
I'm not saying why aren't you voting for him. I'm saying why don't you like him?
Oh, I've never liked him, so I'm not gonna switch.
Come
now.
on, that's funny. That's funny.
So I didn't like him when he was not president. I didn't like him when he had his shows. So I'm not
honestly, yeah. I never paid attention to him prior to.
And I did see, and I did pay attention to him previously, and I never liked the guy. So I'm not gonna start liking him now just because he's president.
So I have a theory, and you're gonna have to work really hard to prove me.
Do I play this now?
Oh yeah. Play. Hold off on this for just a second. What did you do?
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
I have to set that up, so you can't play it right away. But I have this theory, and you're gonna have to work really hard to prove me wrong on this theory. Okay. I think you hate him because you're so much like him, and you see him as competition.
No, there's nothing to compete against him. He's a real estate developer. His daddy was rich as shit. He's no, like I don't think we're anything alike. I was homeless. He was never homeless. He's never had a struggle.
I did hear a story about him one time walking by a homeless dude, and he turned to the guy who was interviewing him or whatever, and he said, "That guy's got more money than I do right now."
Probably.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, it's probably true. So I don't think him and I are anything like it. It just
I want to know what the naysayers, the chat room says. I want to know how many people see you in him or see him in you.
Well, you can say that about anybody. I could say you.
I don't think him and I have anything in common.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You guys are both cynics, and you guys are both trolls.
Yes, trolls.
Yeah,
okay.
So
all right.
all right. I mean, if we're gonna take it down to the microscopic label, then yeah, absolutely. Him and
microscopic. We don't have that in common. Hey-o.
Him and I shake hands. We say hello to people.
The hair is fabulous.
The hair. Look at that shit. Look at this shit.
Okay, so while we're waiting for people to jump in, this clip that I sent you is a riot. It's an anti-COVID lockdown riot going on in Spain or London. I'm not sure. I don't know if the video title says it, but we have to not talk over this because otherwise you won't be able to hear the music. But just contrast the visuals and the sounds with the guy in the foreground playing the piano.
Let's go.
can cut it there. It goes on, but it doesn't really change very much.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
I
funny.
don't know. I thought that was a pretty good, Eternal Flame. I don't know music that well, so I had to be told that was Eternal Flame.
Barcelona.
So I was wrong too about Italy or London. It's crazy though. I really think, and I try really, really, really hard not to think this way.
Yeah.
But I really think we're seeing the end of our current way of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that this is it. This is the reset. This is the
Yeah.
global takeover. And I sound like Alex Jones when I say that, but COVID was unlike anything that we've ever experienced, and it's being weaponized into turning us into the mass slaves. I mean, we've got this Common Pass coming. I don't know if you've heard of Common Pass.
No.
But it's basically a health app on your phone that lets everybody know that you don't have COVID, and it's being piloted all over the place. And
Oh yeah, it's state by state. You have to download the app.
well, right now it's being piloted in the UK.
Yeah.
But some form of this, even if it's not Common Pass, some form of this is coming. And the justification for everything, I mean, we bought it for 9/11, which was, we can take away your freedom for your safety, and we just let it casually morph into your health. Listen, you could still have your freedom. You can definitely have your freedom. We just need to make sure you're not spreading disease around the world.
Correct.
And, you have to take care of your neighbor. There's all that rhetoric going on.
So going
And
back
also-
to the Jones Plantation.
The Jones Plantation. All right, relate it to the Jones Plantation.
Yep.
Do it.
Well, yeah, you just did. I didn't have to say it. It's all about freedom. They feed you the bullshit about freedom, how it's good for everybody, and those who don't apply themselves to it are the ones that are going to get persecuted.
They're going to get run out of town on a rail. You won't be able to participate in the monetary system. We're seeing in real time the destruction of cash. I don't buy the whole coin shortage thing. It doesn't make any sense. There's no dollar bill shortage.
What's the conspiracy with the coin shortage?
Well, don't pay with cash because we don't have any coins. We can't make exact change. So, just pay with electronic form payment. Cash is not accepted here. My favorite coffee shop is not accepting cash.
So we actually seen on a small scale, but we seen when we were selling guns how easy it is to run out of coins.
Yeah, but I don't believe that's like that was pre-COVID.
Correct. And even pre-COVID, it was difficult to keep coins.
Because nobody pays with exact change?
Yeah, correct. So you're constantly giving coins out. So if nobody's paying with cash, nobody's paying with coins, then at some point you do end up with no coins.
But isn't that just requesting or keeping on hand the right amount? I mean, because I never had problems before COVID paying with cash at Walmart, paying with cash at all places.
I still don't have a problem paying with cash. Like I've been paying with cash, not constantly, because I don't pay with cash nearly as much as I did back in the 90s, obviously. But I still pay with cash. I restaurants, whatever, still paying with cash. But even when we would keep what we thought was more than enough coins on hand, like that shit would go fucking quick. It's insane how quick the coins would go. You'd still have cash, but coins would go fucking ridiculous.
How did you get your coins? Was this just a pre-planned, like, okay, we need
you go
2 rolls of quarters and 10 rolls of nickels and dime? Or
there's times where you would get 4 rolls of fucking quarters and it'd be gone by the end of the week.
Where would you get it? How would you plan it?
You'd either go to the bank or you'd go down to the fucking laundromat and get quarters there.
Okay.
Because obviously quarters are the ones that you would need the most. But yeah, even when you planned, and Tisha could probably attest to this a lot more than I can because she dealt with it a lot more. But there was constantly a shortage in coins. pre-COVID.
Yeah. Well,
So that's why I could personally see it because I seen it firsthand.
yeah, I'm not gonna count your personal experience as valid. I'm just gonna stick with my own way of thinking about it,
Of course.
with no personal examples or evidence.
Mhm. Which is what people do.
I know.
That's what people do. Like, this is one of the things that I'm actually now yelling at students more for that.
Yeah.
So I asked people about the COVID stuff. And beforehand, I talk shit about mask wearers and all that shit. And then during breaks, people kind of start to understand a little bit more why I make fun of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in during breaks, that's all I really want to talk about now is who's caught the COVID. Do you know somebody who's caught the COVID? Were they wearing a mask while they caught the COVID? That type of shit. And more people are starting to see, like, they hear it firsthand, like, oh, my buddy just caught the COVID. He was out for a couple of weeks, not that sick. And then you ask him, was he wearing a mask? Like, yeah, he was wearing a mask while he caught the COVID. And everybody at his job was wearing a mask and he still got the fucking COVID, that type of shit. And I yell at them more and more. It's just like, we got to stop spreading bullshit just because it's emotional to you and you feel like that's the correct thing. Like, if we don't have actual evidence, then it means absolutely fucking nothing. It's kind of like the I'm gonna take it to training, but it's kind of like the shot timer people. Like, oh, beep, like there's no real fact or data that says that a timer is really a valid way of training. There's probably more real world data that says it's a bullshit way of training, but it looks cool and it's fun.
It is fun.
So you do it and then you try and put it as this is fact. And that's the problem with a lot of people. It's just like, oh, no, this is what it is. I heard it and it makes sense to me. But like, no, but that's not true.
All right, let me destroy your myth about the shot timer while we're on the topic.
Well, pretend to destroy it because
I'm going to use one example.
There's no real world data, but okay, go for it.
And I know how you're going to disagree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go for it.
So we're doing a drill. We're doing a competition at the end of the class, and we're running the shot timer, and we're trying to get people to, obviously raise their level of performance to win the competition. There was one guy who did an okay. It was a one-shot reload, one-shot.
Yeah.
One guy who did okay.
The black dude.
No. This was somebody else. Not. I think his name was Mike. Not Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
We had one guy who did okay, and then the second time, dude, he just blew it. And then I said, "Listen, dude, slow down. Don't race the clock. Just slow down."
Yeah.
And when he did it slow, he knocked over a second off his time.
Yeah.
And how would you know that if you didn't use the shot timer? Using the shot timer is a way to measure your progress, but it's also it's a competition with yourself every time you use it.
So how do you think I'm going to disprove it?
You're going to say, well, he could have done that without the shot timer.
No.
Okay.
Why do we need to measure it in a real good guy, bad guy situation?
Well, you're just improving competency.
No,
you're not going to measure it in the real world scenario.
That's what I'm talking about.
You're using it as a training tool.
Correct, but that's what I'm talking about. Is just there's no valid reason to use it in a real world application.
Okay,
because it's never going to come up.
I have another argument then.
Yeah.
All right, getting back to cash. Whether or not the coin thing was nonsense, but there has been a push to reduce contact points between you and other people. Don't touch this, don't touch that. So one of the motivations for the push for the central bank digital currency, CBDC, central bank digital currency, is contactless payment, but also the death of cash. Cash is...
So you and Josh killed fucking cash.
Not me by myself.
You and Josh both fucking in Josh's basement with like 75 fucking
miners
mining for digital.
It's weird.
Talk shit about fucking digital coin.
It's weird how this whole Bitcoin thing is being flipped into a way to destroy cash because that's the direction we're heading. We're heading towards the direction of a central bank digital currency, a digital coin. And so the Bahamas has just rolled out a bank-backed digital currency for the entire Bahamas. It's called the Sand Dollar, which is retarded, but it's true. I put a link in the show notes for it.
So this one is for you. Because of that, you ready?
I'm ready.
This one is just for you because this is cool.
I got no sound.
Hello.
Okay, I got sound.
For company to see Mr. David Wallace. I believe we're expected. Well. How the turntables.
Actually, I have that quote sitting on a shelf in our family room.
Because I remember this shit back in 2017, being in the basement of a fucking mini mansion, and in Atlanta, Georgia, and Bitcoin's gonna make us the richest people ever, and somebody bought it, and now they're worth $13 billion, which there's no proof of a Bitcoin billionaire, and now here we are.
A Bitcoin billionaire? You'd have to own a lot of Bitcoin to be a Bitcoin billionaire.
No, but that's what you guys were on, and then now it's gonna kill cash.
It's killing cash. It is. It's
So
it's the weirdest irony ever.
Bitcoin is that's what it was supposed to do from the beginning, kill cash.
No, it wasn't supposed to kill cash. It was supposed to give you an opportunity to use a currency that was like cash in that it's untraceable to or unencumbered by government influence.
That changed quick. That changed several years ago when even a lot of the Bit wallets and the coin wallets and the Doodoo wallets were fucking starting to report every time that you pulled out cash.
Well, the problem is that these exchanges that you convert this money into cash or cash into this money had to abide by international banking rules, including KYC or know your customer rules, which meant that you had to identify yourself to these exchanges in order to participate. Now, I will say that a certain somebody that I know pretty well has a fake identity and has managed to get onto an exchange outside of the U.S. that doesn't require him to identify himself. So
I'm sure you can do that here fairly easily. I know a bunch of cousins who
not with a U.S. bank. Only no, you can't do it with a U.S. bank.
Because I know a lot of people.
I mean, unless you have a very sophisticated fake ID.
What ID did you have to present when you went to go get a bank account?
Proof of government ID.
Yeah, those are easy to make.
With a social security number?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, more than what the average person is capable of producing.
Oh, yeah. No. Like, I have a fake social security card, and it looks pretty fucking legit.
But is it tied to a real like a valid name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Somebody used my social security number, and the banks didn't give a fuck that it popped up with somebody else's name, because all they said was all like, oh yeah, we're investigating. Showed fake fucking police reports saying that they're investigating, and then the bank was like, oh, whatever. But it was my social security number.
So, but you have your own? You have an extra one?
Well, yeah, when I was underage and I wanted to work, the only way I knew to get a job to make some money as a 15-year-old kid who's married and is finding it really difficult to get a steady job because he's 15, I was like, well, fuck, most of my family's here illegally. Let's get a fake social and ID.
So if somebody were to run those numbers against a LexisNexis database, would it pull up a valid result?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can pull up a valid result for you, because a lot of the times the way they report it is the last name that was reported. Not even In fact, I just had a student, crazy shit that we're even talking about this. I just had a student. He was born, let's just say, I forget his name, but it was like Michael Gabriel or some shit like that. He always went by Gabriel. All of his legit documentation always had his first name as his middle name. So his names were flipped. So he always went by a certain name. He had his social security card by that name, the whole nine. Boom. That's what he had. That's what he thought he was. And then he moved to Colorado, and Colorado was like, hey, dude, like, that's not your name. Like, we have your... The only reason they found out is because he had to present his birth certificate. Like, your birth certificate has a different name. He had to contact IRS to give him a new social security card with the same number, but with a different name on it. So it is very, very possible to trick government employees into switching names, and even bank systems to switch your name within the reporting agencies.
Okay. That's all been true for a long time.
Correct.
So the know your customers rules and elements still exist, though. Like, your average person is not going to jump through these hoops. They're going to participate in an exchange, and they're going to submit their government forms of ID, and they're going to identify themselves, and then they're going to get involved. But there's a way around this if you know anything about foreign exchanges for things like Bitcoin. So it's possible.
Address David's. I don't think there's ever a Mexican who intentionally steals an identity. So my name was the one that I used was made up. So for all I know, it was fake. Could have belonged to somebody else. Absolutely. But that was not.
Was your name McLovin?
It was Super McLovin.
Super McLovin. So on that note, I have to bring up something I haven't told you yet. But this is my new phone.
Dan. Oh. Is that the Pixel?
It is a Google Pixel 3a.
Oh, man, you're going to hate it.
I do hate it.
Yeah, the Pixels suck.
But I'll tell you one thing.
What?
This does not have a contact tracing on it.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. This is a off-the-grid phone.
Nice.
So I don't have to worry about Android or Google putting a contact tracing app or operating system upgrade on my phone that's going to make me involuntarily contact trace.
How is it off the grid?
The Bluetooth is locked down. It won't interact.
And the government just froze Isaac. As soon as he said he doesn't have that shit, the FBI just closed him up. They have shut his shit down. I fear that he has been raided at this moment. Hopefully we get him back and he explains to us why the fuck he's gone. But we're gonna try and figure out what the fuck happened to Isaac here. But anyways, all of this shit is pretty interesting shit. I'm just gonna try and stall for time. He's texting now. Man, we're gonna try and get him back because that shit was pretty hilarious. But anyways, we're approaching the 2-hour mark. Anyways, I do want to finish this off with Isaac, so I'm gonna give him a few more minutes to see if he can get back on. I know his Mac has been giving him some issues for a while. Just super fucking cool. Super fucking amazing that shit happened as soon as he said that he's got an off-grid phone. And he's been talking shit about the FBI all day long. But anyways, tomorrow, election day, is going to be super duper fun. I'm going to be on Univision, but in New England. So if you got homies out in New England or for some stupid reason you want to jump online, that's going to be at 8 p.m. And
we're back.
Oh, shit. That shit was amazing timing, dude. The timing on that was just fucking perfect, dude.
What makes it off the grid? Zip. I'll show you. Oh my God, that was crazy.
Oh, that show's amazing.
So to answer the question, this is running a Linux-based operating system.
Oh, okay.
So I get to control all the permissions on here. A lot of the apps are completely vetted, open source with no tracking, or if they have tracking, it's expressly identified before you download and use the app.
Yeah.
So
See, that's the beautiful thing about non-Apple products. Like outside of like the real battles between Windows and shit like that, is just like with PC and with Android, you can do that shit. Like you try and do that shit with Apple, and it's
right.
not gonna.
So one of the podcasts I listened to, the main guy, he has cloaked an Apple phone, but it has very, very limited utility.
You might as well go back to a flip phone.
You might as well. It's running. I think he said it was running on 3G, and it's an iPhone 5, and you can use the web browser, but you're running anytime you're running on a cell connection. And the point of this phone is not to disappear from the government. Like the government you can't run away from that. But what you're doing is just generating a lot less data and tracking. And incidentally, with the COVID stuff, you're not involuntarily participating in contact tracing. So
anybody who's making a switch to, this is way off topic, but anybody who's making a switch from Apple to Android, that is the phone not to get.
Oh yeah, no, this phone's garbage, dude. It's buggy.
The Google Pixels, I got it when it first came out, thinking it was going to be the greatest fucking thing ever. Holy fucking shit, do I hate that motherfucking phone.
Yeah. But the thing is, too, I don't rely on this for a lot of things that what other people rely on it for. Yeah. And so I don't miss a lot of the features that that a lot of people would normally have. Although there is this app on here that lets me lurk on Instagram without actually signing in or anything. So that's pretty cool. But you have to know the username of the person you want to look at.
You can do that with your regular web browser.
Yeah, you can, but this is like it's almost like an Instagram app.
Got it.
Yeah, but the web app for Instagram is actually pretty good on here too.
Yeah,
I haven't been on there. I was just checking in on Guns for Everyone to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So
you ain't missing that.
All right,
fucking thing.
So we have a few things coming up. Not me and you. I mean the world.
The world.
We have vaccines.
Okay.
We have health passport. We have contact tracing. And we have other participations in basically passport type stuff. I don't mean passport like your passport to get between countries. I mean passport like to participate in the economy and things like that. So my question to you is, how far will your participation go in that, do you think?
At this very moment, 9:56 p.m., November 2nd, 2020, I am saying that if we even get remotely there, because a lot of the stuff I think is very conspiracy theory, Alex Jonesy.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people just take it out of context in the immediate future. I don't say it wouldn't happen in the long term, but if it does happen in my lifetime, I would love to believe of myself that I would much rather die than participate in any of that stuff. A lot of the reasons why I don't get as extreme as I really want to be right now is because I do have kids.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have kids, I'd be a lot more extreme. If I didn't have kids, I'd definitely be very, very vocal. Here's another Jones Plantation thing: is you can't incite a riot, and they can consider inciting a riot for whatever reason. So, which is what the dude got whipped for. It's just like you can't do that shit. I would like to believe that I would not participate. I don't participate or subscribe to the right now.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole mask thing and shit like that. I'm not gonna argue with anybody about it, but so yeah, I'd rather die than lose freedoms.
So here's why it may, and I I hate to be this guy, but I'm gonna be this guy for a minute. Here's why it's not as far away as you think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on in New Zealand, but in New Zealand they have actual quarantine facilities. They're forcing people
Forcing.
to go to
Correct.
to quarantine,
Yeah.
and they're strongly recommending testing while you're in these facilities. Although, if you decide not to test, all they're going to do is keep you there for an extra couple of weeks.
Correct.
So this kind of stuff is happening, forced happening in at Western, whatever you want to call it, countries. This is not something that's happening in West Africa like a lot of this stuff is piloted in. It's happening in white countries.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that far away. And the justification for it is very easy. You can't be a super spreader. You don't want to spread the virus. You don't want to kill people. You're the reason why we're locked down.
Correct.
If everybody would just go along, we wouldn't have to be locked down. So just get
for not voting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as you get the app and get tested, then you can be in the cool club.
Correct.
And not have to worry about it.
Get your license plates and you'll be fine. Get your driver's license, you'll be fine. Get your permit and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Just get a building permit and you'll be fine. Just
liquor license.
Just get your liquor license. Just abide by the rules and everything. We'll be fine. Oh, holy fuck! We just watched a video about that shit.
Just like all of those things, if enough people refuse to participate, they wouldn't be able to enforce it.
Correct.
The problem is I'm walking around Colorado Springs. I'm going to stores. I'm not wearing a mask. I know that I'm not the only one who thinks the mask is dumb. I know I'm not the only one who thinks it's an infringement. I know all this stuff. I don't see anybody else not wearing a mask. Except in our classes when I tell people they don't have to, and then 90% of them take them off.
Correct.
So I know people think this way, but people aren't acting this way.
Dude, I had this in class the Sunday. This one of the people who said they knew somebody who caught the COVID. So in this social experiment that I'm doing with these people, and it's really just trying to learn, like just trying to get some data for myself. So I asked all my questions. One lady raised her hand. She's wearing a mask. And so I asked, the person that you knew, did they have, were they wearing a mask? Like, yeah. Like, oh, okay. So obviously the mask didn't work. Like, no, I know they don't work. Like, you're wearing the mask. I already told you don't have to wear the mask.
So I'm interested to see how donations have been affected by this hostile attitude you have towards your students.
No, donations are what they are.
Yeah.
For me, they haven't really changed.
Yeah.
They changed from early COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But they really haven't changed overall. Because I think a lot of the times that they just end up understanding what the fuck I'm trying to get at.
Right.
And a lot of it is just like I just want to know the fucking real numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I ask 10 classes, it gives a good sample pool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent sample right there. If I ask 10 classes and on average, which is a shitty way of saying it, I guess, because every class is different, but on average, nobody in the class has caught the COVID. And on average, about 3 to 5 know somebody who has caught the COVID, at least one person who has caught the COVID. So if we look at those numbers, it's just like, you're probably not going to catch the fucking COVID.
Well, and for the large majority of people who do, it's not that big of a deal. I saw somebody,
which we know that, we know that. But the interesting thing is we're wearing masks. And just like you mentioned, most people, even the people who hate wearing the mask, the people who have no principles, because that's where I'm at right now. Like, if you wear a mask and you believe you shouldn't be wearing a mask, you have zero fucking principles.
Well, it's the same thing as not believing that all gun rights or gun laws are infringements, but being too scared to break them.
Correct. Oh yeah, absolutely. So there's that, and we still have the spikes. We still have new cases and shit like that. Like, if during flu season, you've seen this in your class. During flu season, chances are you're probably going to have at least one motherfucker with the flu.
Mm-hmm.
inside your class, or a cold, or whatever during that season. I know it's true for my classes where just like, hey, motherfucker, like you're spreading all this shit, so we have to spray you and shit like that.
Well, another element of this is since COVID started, I've definitely seen over 1,000 students since COVID started.
Oh yeah, easy.
I haven't gotten sick.
Easy.
I don't take precautions.
Well,
I don't wear a mask. I don't even wash my hands until I get home from my classes.
Well,
I know you do because you're a germaphobe, but
because I'm a germaphobe.
Because you're a germaphobe, but I am not a germaphobe. If anything, I'm a disgusting human being. And
I've seen it, people.
Yeah, you see me chew with my mouth open. I don't take any precautions. I took some precautions initially, but I don't take. People want to shake hands. I'll shake hands with you. I'll share pens with you. I'll collect the envelopes. I'll touch, whatever I need to touch. And I'm not, it's not like I never get sick. I do get sick. I haven't gotten sick this whole time.
So we got a text, and I won't tell you when it was. Not on air, anyways. But I will say that it was within the last 2 months.
Okay.
Got a text, said, "Hey, you were with us, and one of the people that were there tested positive." So,
okay, let's shut down. Let's shut down the whole operation.
So,
who did the text come from? From the person themselves, or from some other agency or something like that?
The person who was holding the event.
Okay.
So the host of the event.
Okay.
Is the one that texted like, "Hey, just to let you know." Now they're probably hunkering down and they did all that shit. And the Tish is like, "How you feeling?" Like, "I'm feeling fantastic." "Cool. So am I." Everybody's cool, so we're fucking cool. Now for most people, even people listening, like, "Oh my God, like that's fucking horrid." That, like, for me, it just, the chances of, I'm a logical human being. I've been asking students really since the beginning of March. I'm doing it a lot more now about this shit, about couples. I've learned couples being in the same house, basically fucking, interacting with each other. The spouse doesn't get the fucking COVID. Even though they're on top of each other, fucking stroking each other's dicks and shit like that. So I've heard plenty, like enough evidence of that, where the people were in the same room, and because they were husband and wife, they refused to not be in the same room. Like, we're fucking married. Like, if you catch the COVID, I'm gonna fucking catch the COVID.
Oh, you don't know what's going on in England?
They can't fuck in England?
Yeah.
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 Fucking fuckers.
The thing is like, I am not allowing myself to be concerned with getting sick. I know it's a risk, but it's a risk, period. It's a risk when my kids go to school at the beginning of the year and they start interacting, like they usually get sick at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
When they start interacting with a bunch of the kids, which means I end up getting sick, and it sucks. But I saw somebody posting the other day on some website. They're like, "Oh, you think COVID's not real or not bad? Listen to this." And this guy was talking about how these long-lasting effects, trouble breathing for months on end and everything. I met an instructor back in January who wanted to come do some ladies classes for me, and I still am planning on doing those with her.
Yeah.
But she got an ear infection sometime in February or March. She ended up in physical therapy for like 6 months, recovering from an ear infection that traveled all the way to her heart at some point.
Yeah.
And completely made her unable to walk. It had nothing to do with COVID.
Crazy.
Had nothing to do with COVID.
Ear infection.
Just an ear infection almost took her out, And so when people are like, "Well, I know somebody who got really, it's like, yeah, I know people with heart trouble. I know people who take medicine for.
And that's the problem with all that shit is, again, it's emotional. And you try and make it more real than what it really is. Like, you can't make it more real than what it already is. Like, it's everybody just has to understand it happens. People are gonna die, and it fucking sucks. You know what? If When I carried a gun for the longest time, I did the irresponsible thing and not take medical training seriously. And then you start learning the numbers and you're like, oh shit, maybe I should learn some medical shit much more than my pew pew shit. And then now I have to acknowledge that if I am going to carry a tourniquet and be the guy that's going to try and save people, I may have to look at somebody as they're fucking dying and be like, there ain't shit I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like all I can do is just like fucking sana colita de rana and fucking go somewhere else and go help somebody else. You know, that's the fucking reality of that shit.
It's the Kenosha shooting. One guy had a mortal wound that could have been treated and saved.
You think you could have been saved?
Maybe. Jojo, the first guy.
The Chomo, yeah.
The Chomo.
I don't think he could have been saved. I don't think so. But
he had a pneumothorax, and who knows how long it took them to treat the pneumothorax. So that possibly could have been saved, but nobody knew what they were doing. Had another guy who had no chance of survival.
Yeah.
And he had another guy who thought he was going to die, but was actually not in that much danger.
No, at all.
And all three of these guys got shot.
Correct.
You know, and it's like there's a complexity here that you can't manage. You can just do your best.
Correct.
And so if you're going to try to manage the entire complexity of the situation, you're going to drive yourself right into, you know.
And it's not your job to save everyone.
Yeah.
Like it's not my job to save everyone. Like that's what everybody's fucking problem is that you want it to be your job to save everyone. Like it's not. Like you can't save everyone. If you're a religious person, Jesus can't fucking save everyone. Buddha can't save everyone. Like even from those motherfuckers, people fucking were gone and died and couldn't do it. Like the fuck makes you any better or any different than those individuals? If you are a religious individual to believe such a fucking pretentious thing that you are somehow much more effective at saving people. And then on top of that, get to decide through vote that you're going to implement your will on my life just because you feel a certain way, one way or another. Like that's just not my job. My job is not to save anyone. My job is not to, let me rephrase it. My job is not to, even save anyone. Like that's just not my responsibility. Everybody thinks they have a responsibility though to do. You're so fucking self-absorbed. I did a video, and I think we've talked about this in the podcast before, about my anxiety when I travel,
mm-hmm.
And how my depression increases. And for me, my perspective is just like there's nobody that can help me with that. I can call Tisha at 2 a.m. and she's asleep. You know what the fuck she's gonna do?
Hang up on you?
Or not even answer.
Yeah.
There's a big fucking possibility that she may not even answer. It's irrational for me to be like, oh, you just want me to die? At some point in my life, I probably could have been that way when I was super duper emotional about that shit. Like, oh, you just want me to die? You don't give a fuck about me? Like, but it's not her job to be fucking rubbing my fucking penis every fucking second of the fucking day. Just or anybody's for that matter. Like at some point, I accept responsibility for myself, and that is fucking it. Like if I catch the COVID and if I decide to go outside, maybe a little bit more of a dick move. If I start getting around the old people that I know could potentially die, cancer and shit like that. But that's for me personally, somebody who's got asthma, a little fat. My phone says I'm obese. With asthma, like I can't do a fucking class without having to fucking take multiple deep ass fucking breaths. So I'm sure COVID is gonna fuck me up, but if I get the flu, it's gonna fuck me up. But all that said is I'd much rather die from the COVID than be in your guys' motherfucking tyranny.
So Nate said that he got the COVID and it sucked really bad, but I think it seems like Nate's in pretty decent health. And there just seems to be
which name?
Gype.
Oh, okay. It's in the comments.
Yeah, it seems like there's risk factors, but there's no guarantee that just because you're healthy, it's not going to suck, or just because you're not healthy, it is going to suck. And it's the problem is not the COVID. The problem is the justification that's being used to radically alter our way of life, our freedom, because if we made arguments, we as a country made arguments at different points in the last 20 years that school uniforms were an infringement of First Amendment rights, that requiring people change their clothes at school or whatever are an infringement of First Amendment rights, but we're requiring everybody to wear a mask. How is that different?
Correct.
One is for your safety and the other one's not for your safety. These kids were being told not to wear red at school because it was a gang color for everybody's safety.
Correct.
And the arguments were made that this was First Amendment infringement. I was even telling my wife what to do with my stuff when I died. That's sad, dude. I don't mean to laugh, but I can only laugh about this because I saw you last week and you look great. So now I can laugh at it. But geez, that sounds like it sucked. There's plenty of angles to attack this as an infringement on our agency. So I'll try to wrap up this this particular discussion with something I read. I'm reading a book called Notes from Underground written by Dostoevsky, and this guy's talking. He's basically making the argument that you can't rationalize your way out of human behavior.
Correct.
You can't rationalize away everything that's wrong with humans. You have to understand that there's something deeper going on. So if you could somehow understand every decision that humans have to make and boil it down to what is beneficial and what is not, there's no way you could convince human beings to always act in their own interest. If you could do that, human beings would still act outside of their own interest, if nothing else than just to assert that they have the right to do so. And so when you talk about, well, this is best for this person or this is best for society and everything, you're taking away their individual agency, which is never going to work. You're never going to get people to fully commit to that.
And I've never understood this pretentious notion that it's okay for everybody to decide how I go to the one place we're all going. Like you don't have control over my life to decide how, when I die. Like you don't.
Well, in this case, what's tricky about this argument is it's not just you. And this is essentially what boils down to every argument for an infringement on your individual agency is your decisions do not just affect you, they affect everybody around you.
Which is true for anything.
If you don't agree with spying on your neighbor because of terrorism, then you're putting them at risk for terrorism because you don't want to participate. That's a little bit more of a leap than just saying, look, you might be sick and you could get them sick and then you both die. That's an easy jump to make.
Yeah.
And so that's why so many people are having a hard time resisting this, because it does make sense from a greater good type attitude. The problem with the greater good is you can't make people participate in that decision-making process.
Yeah.
And the harder you try, the more restrictive the entire system becomes. And then it just results in tyranny. That's when you have people going to FEMA camps or...
We should legit 100%. I mean this. We should start a campaign and even try and put it on the Colorado ballot just to fucking show the audacity of all this bullshit and the stupidity of all this bullshit. We've been down this road before, so we could do it again just as for shits and grins. 100% try and ban cars and use the exact same logic.
Well, kill 50,000 people a year.
A year. 50,000 people a year. Crazy, dude.
Unfortunately, this article is already being made, or this argument's already being made.
Oh yeah, it's been made with guns. It's been yeah.
No, but I mean, it's being made as part of this great reset.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the World Economic Forum released a video and a blog not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, basically saying what the future of the world will be like in 2030. And one of the things that we will see in 2030 is that ownership of personal property will no longer be a thing.
Oh, there's not a thing now.
Well, to some degree that's true, and to some degree it's not.
To every degree, it's true.
Well,
They're illegal, and they want to come and get them.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can try.
Well, sure, they can try, but they have claimed ownership over them
That's
because they
true.
regulate them.
Okay.
So they regulate them. The state of Colorado regulates your permit. The state of Colorado regulates the sale of.
What about my phone? This thing.
Oh, absolutely. All the data.
No, but I own all the data on here now.
So you think? We used to think that about a lot of things.
That's true. That's true. Well, what is ownership then? Oh, geez, we shouldn't ask this at 2 hours and 20 minutes. That was a stupid idea. But the idea of ownership of your own means of transportation or cars or anything like that, everything is going to be rented. Right now we have the illusion of ownership, but in the future we won't even have that.
Correct. And again, Jones Plantation, it's the illusion of freedom every single time. And every single time you have this illusion that you're choosing who is going to represent your best interest, and nothing really changes. If you're a Republican, you're still a fucking socialist. If you're voting for Trump, you're still a socialist, and you're imposing that will on me by force. By force, you are forcing your daddy Trump for me to pay taxes, for me to build roads, schools, all that shit is what you're asking your daddy Trump to do. If you're voting for Biden, dementia patient number one. Oh shit, that's his fucking nickname, Dementia One. So if you have Dementia One, he's imposing his will on me just because you don't have the balls to fucking take responsibility for yourself. And we all do it, and again, just like you said, we all do it because we feel like it's the best interest of the community, of this world.
I mean, we even do that when we justify our own participation in this. It's like, well, I have kids. I have to look out for their best interests as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Super duper hypocrisy.
This is why this seems inevitable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's absolutely true. This is one of the reasons why the reasons why I tell people not to have kids is super complex, but that's one of the main reasons why I tell people that not to have kids, because any principles that you have, ethically speaking, if you're doing right by your family, kind of go out the window because they didn't choose to be in this world. And if I subject my kids to my craziness, like I'm subjecting them to something that they did not choose to participate in. And that includes watching their father die in front of them, potentially because he wants to be a principled human being. Now, it's that complex issue of like, I want them to be principled human beings. I want them to be the type of people that are willing to die for their freedoms. But if you have kids, all of your principles kind of go out the window because you have to make that decision, like the ethical decision of like, do I do what's right for my family? Because I do have a responsibility to my family, but that means that I'm going to have to give up a lot of the principles that I believe in order to be able to fulfill my responsibility to those kids. So, oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of excuses that we make not to be one way or another, but if we want to William Wallace this, like we have to be willing to have our fucking head chopped off a few times. And that's pretty difficult when you have to stare at your kids and be like, hey, over a traffic ticket, I'm going to fucking die. Or over license plates, I'm just going to fucking take one to the dome.
This is why black and white thinking is difficult.
Yeah.
Because a traffic ticket in black and white thinking is oppression. I mean,
and it is.
What's his face? Randy Weaver was facing a charge for just applying a saw to a metal barrel. It wasn't even for him. He ended up paying with the life of two of his family members because he was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that."
You're talking about Hill,
Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
So this is why this is so difficult to draw a line somewhere. because you can easily make the argument that I can draw the line on this side or I can draw the line on that side.
Yep.
But the accelerated pace of what we're seeing since March puts me on edge.
Yeah. Well, this was only supposed to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It
Let's flatten the curve. This will all be over by Easter. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I don't believe in Trump. That's why I don't believe in Biden.
I believe in him. I think he's a real person. I believe in him more than the Easter Bunny.
But that's another reason why you can't, because he was telling us the same thing.
Oh yeah, he did.
Have everything done and no masks, and we're not going to do that shit. And well, here we are still, because as executive order happy as he's been, I think he could have easily found a legal, quote unquote, legal way of ending this shit a long time ago.
Yeah. And perhaps the people that he's beholden to are just the general public and their appetite for risk. That could be enough.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer David really quick. I don't give a fuck about my dog. If my dog takes one to the dome, my dog takes one to the dome.
That's what she's for. While you're looking that up, I don't really have anything really funny to end this out. Certainly not a clip. It's more just a website. I'm going to pass it to you here, and I'm going to give you 5 seconds to figure out what the joke is. Okay.
All right.
So put it up on the screen, and this is
the screen.
This is what will take us out.
5 seconds from the time it gets up to the screen.
Yep.
Oh shit. Well, 5 seconds from the time I share it.
Yeah, from the time you share it.
So let me get this up first. That way it'll already be up to control. Yeah. All right.
I could tell it didn't take you very long.
It's amazing.
So if you're not on the YouTube stream, in doing some market research for looking up training companies, I came across this precision shooting company called Precision Shooting. All right. So what do they do? Shoot precisely, I guess. Except precision is spelled incorrectly. It's not very precise. It's spelled Percision instead of.
And the great thing is that it doesn't exist.
It doesn't even exist.
Doesn't even exist.
Now, I will say that this link is probably stale at this point. I mean, it does still exist, but maybe they saw the error of their ways and decided to go with the correct spelling of precision shooting.
Well, they are precise.
But we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but we'll talk about it in the next one. I went to a marketing webinar with another instructor a few weeks ago, and I gained some valuable insights, including that one. Valuable insights is sarcastic, by the way.
Dude, I gave up on that shit a long time ago.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about it in depth on the next one, but the punchline is just like, if you don't already know this, what are you even doing here?
Right.
Right. So,
yeah.
And I respect this instructor, but I disagreed with a lot of what he said.
Oh man. Yeah. Where to begin?
Yeah. So, all right. So, wow, we did, dude, that 2.5 hours seemed like 30 minutes to me.
Quick, dude.
There was too much to talk about. We really flew around a lot of different topics, but I'm sure by next week we're going to have even more to talk about.
Oh, fuck ton more. The joke is now, what are you wearing for the Civil War? That's kind of the running joke on the social medias. What's everyone wearing for the Civil War?
That's simultaneously hilarious and horrifying. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah.
I know what I'm wearing though. I'm wearing I would wear this shirt, but it's not going to fit over the plate carrier. So I have to wear the Glock Steady t-shirt or sweatshirt.
That's. I don't think I have anything to worry about. I don't think much is going to change.
I'm pretty sure you won't even wear socks.
I'm not even going to fucking wear socks. If the shit hits the fan, I will go out there sockless and fucking take care of what the fuck I need to take care of. I don't think it's going to get that crazy. I would hope that most human beings are rational enough to understand that when Obama came into office, he said a lot of shit about taking guns and nothing happened. Even with his supermajority, he had plenty of opportunities. Biden is a different character. I understand. I don't think he can, even if he wanted to at this stage, I don't think he could fulfill what he says he's going to do. I don't think he has a constitutional leverage to do it at this point. I think Trump at this point is more of a concern for guns in my perspective.
I don't think any rioting will have anything to do with guns. I think it'll be a purely, I mean, we didn't talk about this enough, but I think there is an active attempt to overthrow the government going on right now, which is kind of exciting in its own way, but at the same time, a little nerve-wracking.
I forget where we seen this, how we talked about this, or what the fuck happened, but there was what the fuck, I forget who the fuck I was talking to, what the fuck was going on, but basically the correlation of I forget what movie it was that basically played this out, is you create civil unrest, and then it might have been RoboCop. Because in RoboCop, if I'm not mistaken, RoboCop. Because if I'm not mistaken, RoboCop, it was private companies supposedly that created civil unrest, and then they came in and were like, well, we're private companies. You defund the police, defund everything, and we'll give you fucking RoboCop. That's what it was.
Yeah. This is being fomented for sure.
Crazy.
And so we'll see how it shakes out.
And if there wasn't bricks at 15th and Market, then I'd be like, nah, that's a lie. But there's fucking bricks downtown right now.
Yeah. While we're wrapping up, I'll try to pull up is it KDVR or KVDR?
KDVR.
KDVR.
Well, look it up. Again, if you guys are interested in watching me talk about the election tomorrow, I'm going to be on Univision, but it's going to be in New England. So all your homies up in New England that don't speak Spanish can watch it in the Boston area. New England area.
Wait a minute. Is it remote? Are you doing this here?
Yeah, I'm going to be in the studio. I'm going to be doing it here.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing it here. It's going to be, it's 8 p.m. here, but obviously it's going to be 10 p.m. out there. I'm actually going to be quasi-debating Obama's former Hispanic spokesperson. So their his Spanish spokesperson. Quasi.
A debate?
Quasi.
In Spanish?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's again, quasi-debate is the way it's been presented to me, but the election is going to dictate what the fuck happens.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that shit.
Okay. I did find the link. I'm putting it in the show notes, but just to, hold on. Bricks on 15th and Blake. Not Black. Blake.
You know what? Since we need something funny, have we done comedians on Hispanics?
Enrique Iglesias?
No.
Spoke Spanish.
Let's see.
Mexicans are, I'm not even going to lie to you, even over Filipinos, my favorite people in the world.
Right.
Just to counter Trump.
Too, as long as
Did you hear that?
No.
Mexicans are I'm not even going to lie to you, even over Filipinos, my favorite people in the world.
No, right. They're my favorite people too, as long as they're citizens. You ever notice that shit? They always got these specials about the pyramids in Egypt. They're like, oh my God, the pyramids in Egypt. Who really built them? It wasn't the Egyptians, it wasn't the Jews, it was aliens. Aliens came down and they built these pyramids. This is how you know Mexicans are the best workers in history. There are also pyramids in Mexico. Nobody questions who built those. There is no hour-long History Channel special. Who built the pyramids in Mexico? Mexicans, motherfucker, that's who. There was a quinceañera that needed a tent to have that shit up by Saturday. Aliens probably came with like, we got it, you go help the Jews. That's okay over here. Everything taken care of, aliens.
That
All right.
guy Andrew Schultz is a funny comedian.
He is. His commentaries are pretty nice too.
Yeah.
He does those like 2-minute, 3-minute sit downs and yells at people.
Yeah.
Those are pretty fun.
He's a fun dude.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, do not stay safe this week.
Fuck some shit up. Destroy things.
No, I didn't say that.
I
just said don't stay safe. I'm tired of people saying stay safe. I say it myself to people when they're walking out of the class. Hey, good night. Stay safe. I'm like, dude, shut up.
Carlin has a bit on that.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
No, I probably have heard it. It's probably been a while.
So Carlin, his take on when people tell you have a good day, like that's a lot of pressure. Like, don't tell me what kind of fucking day they have. What if I want to have a bad day? Or when you're flying and people tell you have a safe trip, like I have no fucking control over that. Oh no, that was Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I have no control over that.
I have no control. Yeah, I told everybody leaving the class last Saturday to drive fast and dangerous. But then on Sunday, when it was snowing and icy out, I did tell everyone to stay safe. And I ended up flying off the road at one point because I was going way too fast. And the funny thing was, after I recovered the car and I got back on the road, I started laughing hysterically. Like, I did it. I survived. I don't have to stay safe.
That's an amazing reaction to almost dying. It's fucking laughter.
It was one of those things because I hit the brakes and I was like, if I keep my foot on the brake, I'm going to crash. So I had to hit the gas instead as I'm flying off the road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's only the last time that I got into the pew pew, that was the only time when it was just like, all right, I need to go take a shit. My bowels. They didn't have it right then and there, but had we not had a bathroom convenient located, it probably would have fucking happened right then and there.
Oh, that happens to me before a class. I can't even imagine being in your position. Right before a class, I got to take a combat crap.
Oh no, having to take a combat shit right after.
Yeah,
you just fucking pew-pewed at a fucking getaway car.
Yeah,
that was interesting, man.
I like Nate's comment. When in doubt, throttle out.
Throttle out.
I'll have to keep an eye on that one. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Please come back on Monday next week. It should be very interesting. I'm sure.
Interesting.
I'm sure.
All right, motherfuckers. Don't forget to wash your ass. Gunsforeveryone.com. Everything else.com. Your mama's biatch.com. I like titties.com.
Thank you to everybody in the Naysayer room for joining us, all the people whose asses are not washed, and that was a terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
terrible.
so
All right, guys.